All right, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, for episode number 26, Before the Train Wreck. I'm joined again by my friend, Dr. Sean T. Smith. How you doing, Sean?
Good. Happy Rabbit Day, Rich. Do you know what Rabbit Day is?
Rabid, as in rabid?
No, that's a different holiday.
Okay. No, what's rabid?
Rabbit Day is the first day of the month, and I guess it's an old European thing. You're supposed to wake up in the morning, say rabbit, 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 and then you have good luck for the rest of the month. That's what I hear.
I've not heard this before, but I shall take it into consideration. Today's actually Canada Day here, so this is Canada's birthday.
Okay. How old is Canada?
Good question. I think it's about 160 something years old. I think it was 1867. I don't know. In the 1800s, it became Canada or something like that. Fun fact, though, Newfoundland was the last province to join Canada. That was around the Second World War.
All right. Well, congratulations on all that.
Happy birthday to everybody celebrating Canada Day. There's probably going to be fireworks blowing up outside at some point when it gets dark, so excuse any noise that infiltrates the broadcast tonight. We're kicking off with passive-aggressive women, or passive-aggressive people, we'll say in general. We don't want to narrow it down too far, but it seems to, like, I dated this woman in my 20s that was passive-aggressive, and her strategy was if she didn't like something, or if it rubbed her the wrong way, or she didn't get her way with it, she would often make an underhanded or disparaging statement as you're kind of walking away. I've got pretty good hearing. My vision isn't the greatest, but I would always pick up on it. So I don't really have a way of coping with it because I don't make those people my problem. I just kind of walk away from them. But you must have dealt with this in your practice, in your kind of clinical practice. So what's your recommendation, or what is passive aggressive behavior, first of all, and what's your recommendation for dealing with passive aggressive people?
I would call passive aggressive behavior an attempt to get your way and get somebody to cooperate without being direct about what it is that you want. So it's just a passive way of trying to get the other person to act right. And as far as responding to it, I think the best answer is just to start with a presumption of the best intentions on the other person. Like maybe they never learned how to ask for what they want. Maybe they grew up in a family where they got punished for asking for what they want. So letting them know this isn't that relationship. This is a relationship where we communicate directly. And I prefer people just say what they want to me. And we don't need to hide our intentions from each other. So you want something, just spit it out.
Would that be a case of just kind of like, as you're walking away, you hear it and you just maybe turn around and be like, are we still having a conversation? Do we need to keep talking here? Because I thought that we were done.
Yeah, absolutely. The main thing is, you call it out. And I always give people the benefit of the doubt from the beginning. And there's a polite way of saying, is there something on your mind that we need to discuss here?
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's the polite way. Well, is there something on your mind?
No, I like the way you said it. That was good.
I'm not quite that polite. I'm a lot more direct, unfortunately, but I think that's why we work so well together, my friend.
I don't think it's unfortunate. I think it's a gift.
It's maybe it is a gift because I cut through the crap quick. Got the guest call-in lines open, guys. They're 323-642-1618. We always have these things like filled with a dozen calls towards the end. We're running the show for 90 minutes as usual. We got some new members that joined, so let's say hi to Vera and Jonathan. Thanks for joining. And guys, if you're watching this live right now on YouTube, would love it if you hit the thumbs up button. Just lets YouTube know that algorithms should be attentive and send this out to subscribers. Also, I was looking at the analytics on my channel. I don't know if you've noticed this on your channel, Sean, but a lot of people watch without actually being subscribed, and they continue to watch video after video for some reason. So there's a button there. Hit the subscription button and make sure you get notified of all new content, guys. It helps me out a ton. And again, thanks to the new members that joined there. How about a duck update before I check these lines here? What's happening?
So the duck is we turned the duck loose yesterday. There's a little pond by our house, and trying to figure out like the best time. There's not a great time to release a duck. There's only the least bad time. And I kind of decided that we were getting to a point of diminishing returns where trying to protect the duck was actually hurting the duck because it wasn't exercising its wings and foraging for food and doing the stuff it needed to do. And it seemed like it was strong and fast, and it's got a really bad attitude. So it seemed like a good opportunity, a good time to go let it go. So we let it go yesterday, and we did it a certain place in a certain way. And then my daughter and I went over there and checked on it today, and he's doing fine. Like he's just living the duck life.
That's good. Full like adult feathers like that quickly, because it only seemed like a couple of weeks ago you had that.
Yeah, this thing turned into a full-grown animal overnight. It was strange.
Incredible. Yeah. All right, guys, lines open, 323-642-1618. We don't have any inbounds right now, so we can kind of freestyle it a little bit, Sean. We should probably line up some topics from the guys that are leaving comments in the after videos. We get really good feedback. I know that we check in just to see what people are saying with the shows, and you seem to dig the vibe that we're throwing out there. So again, the show's before the train wreck, guys. If you have something that you're stuck on, if your spidey senses are tingling, it doesn't necessarily have to revolve around women. In fact, I would love to have a conversation with people that call in and say, hey, I've got my spidey senses tingling around this money situation or this business idea that I'm vetting right now. But that seems to dominate a lot of the decision-making capacity or bandwidth that guys have these days. So if you have an experience to share around tonight's topic, or you have a question you want to ask of Sean and I, by all means do so. We'll be on till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. All right, we got the lines lighting up now. Let's go to the first caller here. Exchange 688. I'm going to put you on first. All right, you have a question or experience to share, 688.
Just a question.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're going to want to turn down your volume on YouTube in the background.
Oh, sorry. Just a question.
There's a little bit of a delay. Can you hear us okay now?
Sorry about that. Can you better?
Yep.
Is that better?
It is.
Great. Question. Thoughts on being black pill when it comes to marriage, but dating. So you're actively dating, but you don't cohabitate. You don't marry. You don't. I mean, even you're kind of on the fence for monogamy as a whole.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So you're asking about thoughts on the black pill surrounding women?
No, on in terms of marriage.
Oh, in terms of marriage. Okay. Well, how would you define the black pill?
Because, for example, this is 2019. I've run into multiple guys where they've been cuffed. One guy's like 40, living in his mom's basement now. Like, it's a series of situations like that. So I'm thinking, like, why are guys doing this? I've heard a few guys on your show call in where they're ex-military and, they're getting cuffed. And, I don't know.
Why are they getting married specifically is what you're asking.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hop off, but I for all your work, guys. I read your book, Rich, and I've read your book, Sean. So thanks, guys.
Okay, all right, thanks. So I'll just drop that line. So I wasn't clear on a specific question, but what he was talking about is why in today's environment are guys still getting married, and he was referencing the black pill. And for those of you that are new to that notion or that descriptive term, it's like on one end of the spectrum, you've got blue pill, purple pill, red pill, and then black pill. And black pill is like extreme nihilism. It's like, what is the point in even bothering? She's only going to take all your money or break your heart or run off with your kids sort of thing. That's sort of black pill thinking. So I'll kind of throw it over to you because this is probably newer terminology for you, Sean. What do you think? Like, why are guys still getting married today in this environment?
I would think the best reason to get married is you want to have kids. And we know that kids do best when they have a two-parent family, right? The masculine and the feminine influence. And that's not to say there aren't other arrangements that can't work. Of course, other arrangements can work, but that's the one that helps kids thrive. That's the best reason to get married. As far as why men actually do it, I think a lot of guys just gonna go into it with idealistic view that it's all going to work out well. And for some percentage of them, it works out just fine.
I think that guys spend a lot more time researching and vetting their new car purchase than they do their partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why that is, because a car is never going to take half your shit and never let you see it again, right? But if you make the wrong choice with the wrong kind of woman, then you can run into some serious repercussions. And as this caller's pointing out, with the black pill terminology, things aren't that friendly towards men. In fact, they're quite hostile, and it's just a reality of life. It's not. I don't think it's a black pill thing. I just think it's a reality of the landscape that we live in. Anyway,
family court is not your friend.
No, and as you've said before, Sean, the woman you marry is never the same woman that you divorce, right?
This is true.
We've got another bunch of callers on here, so let's throw exchange 670 on. Again, the lines are open. It's 323-642-1618 670. You're coming on the air. All right. What's happening?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. All right. So to focus on the topic of today's episode, I dated a girl not too long ago who was very passive-aggressive in the way that she would communicate what she wanted and didn't want. later on, I'm now, granted, I'm not a doctor, but I think she may have had BTD just by some of the material I've read and listening to some of your guys' videos, but I can't be certain. But two of the points I'd like to talk on, that I'd like, some insights from the two of you is, what do I do? I'm dating a new girl now, and what do I do to not be so paranoid of thinking that this girl is going to try and do the same thing to me that my ex did, whereas she was very passive aggressive and hot and cold and one emotional extreme to the other. And what do I do for myself so that way I don't keep on thinking back on those negative experiences, so that way I'm not the one creating the problems within the relationship where there aren't any?
It's a good question. This is kind of
I love that question. That's a brilliant question. That's the smartest question I've heard all day, is like, how do I not replicate this thing that I went through, man? Good for you for asking that question, because there's a part of your brain that doesn't know what time it is. It doesn't know that that was then and this is now, and that was a different person. This is a new person. So it just starts reacting as if that's the old person. So I guess my first thought is she being passive aggressive?
Do you mean the current girl I'm with?
Yeah, the current girl.
No, I haven't noticed it. I'm not very versed in pointing that out, but I haven't noticed it. Like, when she doesn't want something, she'll say she doesn't want it. When she wants something, she'll say she wants it. She's very straightforward. I think that part of that might have been that she was a daddy's girl, so she's very easygoing with men in general. That's just me taking a guess. I haven't really noticed it, but she usually communicates in a very adult manner. And whenever she and I have a dispute, we're actually able to talk it out versus it turning into a drama fest.
Good. So your mind, it sounds like, is starting to tell you different stories, or on the verge of telling you stories about her, that she's passive aggressive and manipulative.
I mean, I don't want to, like I said before, how do I know that I'm not seeing things that aren't there? Because I know there's part of me that probably that still hasn't fully gotten past those negative experiences from my ex, who was extremely passive aggressive and would be manipulative, and me trying to put out the fires that she would start. And I don't want to try and look for things that aren't there, or try to nitpick any little thing and say, oh, look, you're trying to manipulate me. Oh, look, this is you trying to be hot and cold and trying to put me through the emotional coals. That's what I'm trying to avoid, and I want to know how I can avoid doing that and thinking that she's the same girl that my ex was.
If I could just jump in for a sec, it sounds a lot like you're describing a behavior known as manufactured indignation, which is something that is often created in the absence of drama. You're not a drama queen, though, right? I mean, you don't sound like a drama queen. It just sounds like you're trying to be aware of what's going on.
Exactly, and I noticed in the past that's why I'm saying this girl's she's very different from me, because how clearly she communicates and how easygoing she is to talk with whenever there's a dispute. Because in relationships in the past, what I've noticed is, and this is I put this on me for the women I've attracted into my life, and the fact that women I've dated have, when there's a problem, they blow up, and then I'm trying to put out the fire. Whereas this is different for me. I don't, if there's a disagreement, there's no blow up. It's like, hey, I don't like this. Okay, well, why is that? And then she'll tell me, and then I'll be like, all right, well, let's try to figure out how to make it better.
Okay, so it sounds like you're dating a normal woman now, but what are the red flags? I mean, are there any red flags that you can point to?
It just seems too good to be true. It seems too easy. I mean,
How long have you been dating?
I'm waiting for it to. Huh?
How long have you been dating her?
About a year and 3 months.
And you see no red flags in a year and 3 months?
I mean, nothing like I've seen before.
And have you guys had any struggles? Like, you've traveled together, luggage was lost, you had a car accident, like anything like out of the ordinary where there was challenges, like chucked into the equation?
We had.
How did she handle them is what I'm asking.
Trip to New York. So she and I took a trip to New York this past summer, and we had missed several of our trains. and we're stuck in New York waiting for our train was supposed to show up at 9 p.m. We missed that one, so we had to wait and take the metro at 11. We had a 2-hour wait, and the area we were waiting at, the AC broke down, and my car got declined when I was trying to get us some snacks and some drinks. She didn't really bug out about it. In fact, she offered to pay for it, and she did, and she even paid for our train tickets on the way back. And I offered to pay it back. She was like, "Don't worry about it. This happens. I get it." I mean, like I said, I haven't seen that. That's one big situation. There was another situation where we were taking a trip to Jersey, and I had gotten into a car accident the day beforehand after promising that I was going to drive us and I was going to take care of all the travel arrangements. And she volunteered her car, and she paid for the entire travel expense of the trip. And there wasn't really an issue with that. She's like, I know life happens. Well, my car was in the shop. And it's like, I see these things, and for me, it's like, like this is really easy going, and it's like I'm kind of waiting for like the freight train to come through, where she kind of flips that switch. And I've experienced that before, where everything's really good, and then all of a sudden a switch gets flipped.
What do you think, Sean?
And it's like I'm not the same person anymore.
I think you're picking up on a good thing to be worried about, which is that you're looking for the wrong problems potentially. So let me give you a couple of phrases that might help you through this. When you get that thought or that feeling that this feels familiar, but it's not really familiar, like you're reacting to her as if she was that old girlfriend, say this phrase to yourself: that was then and this is now. And what that does is that just reminds you that you're dealing with a new person here. And then you can say to yourself, I'm going to check the facts. And the facts are, she's not doing what that old girlfriend is. The facts might be that she's doing something different. And I like Rich's line of question here. It's like you're looking for a problem to flank you from the left, and all your focus is over there. Meanwhile, there's a problem flanking you from the right that you're not paying attention to because your mind is still in the past. And so really, I think your problem is just a time travel problem. Like your mind is dragging you back. It's understandable. Sounds like you were roughed up a little bit by these previous relationships, but you can't let your mind beat you up about something that happened a long time ago and pretend as if it's happening now, because that's what your mind wants to do if it's a normally functioning mind.
So am I basically just am I looking for a problem that's not there, or am I not looking for the right problem?
Well, you're looking for a problem. It just hasn't shown up. But that's okay. Yeah. It's like leaving when a naval fleet goes out on its patrol, it's got its radar on for a reason. It's looking for problems. It doesn't necessarily mean something's going to show up on the radar, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you're not doing anything wrong here, man. It's like say you got bit by a snake long time ago. You're always and forever going to be afraid of snakes. That's what your mind is supposed to do. So you got bit in these bad relationships. Your mind is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is looking for that problem to reappear. What it's not telling you, because what it doesn't know, is that this is a new person. Like, you know it, but that little corner of your mind doesn't.
You've read Sean's Tactical Guide to Women, right?
I've started reading it. I got it yesterday.
Yeah. So everything that you need to know is basically in that book when it comes to what to look for and what the red flags will be when they show up. So just go through that. I mean, if anything pops up, we're on every Monday. You can always feel free to give us a shout back in later, but it sounds to me like you're doing the right thing. I mean, your mind's just going into preservation mode because you don't want to go through the same crap you went through before, which is totally natural. But just don't overanalyze stuff that doesn't exist, and especially don't manufacture anything that doesn't exist. Make sense?
All right. Understood. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Thanks for calling in, man. See you later.
You bet. That guy's going to be fine because he's asking the right questions.
Yeah. I mean, he's. I kind of wish he would spend a little more time on his own, mission, because it sounds like he's spending way too much time analyzing the relationship and when the crazy is going to show up. And I think that if you do that too hard, and I mean, even if you try to conceal the behavior, I think at some point she's going to pick up on it, and he might end up just kind of like scaring her off, sort of thing. Whereas you'll never scare off women if you're on your purpose, right? I mean, if you're chasing excellence in your life, she's not going to run off on you if you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a bunch of calls lined up here. Guest call in line again is 323-642-1618. Real quick, before we take the next caller, I just want to copy and paste the link to a broadcast I did with John from Modern Life Dating the other day on body language. and he's got a really cool course. It closes tomorrow on the 2nd. MLD's body language course, body. So if you want to check it out, I did a video with him. We kind of covered some of the basics out of it, and he shared some of the screens. It's basically like an enrollment course, and it helps you pick up on female body language specifically. So just check that out. There are links there if you're interested in looking at that. Let's go to the calling lines again. We've got 263 over here. Let's throw that exchange on the air and see what we got. All right, 263, you're on the air.
Hey, are you there, Rich?
Loud and clear.
Sweet. So I absolutely love this topic, and I love you guys both. I just found your podcast, and they've been amazing.
Thank you.
So something I want to talk about with the whole passive-aggressive women thing is I was dating a girl one time, and I decided that I thought my school was my main priority, and I told her that. And so for 3 months, our relationship started going down the drain. I'm like, man, what the hell? I don't get it. Why is our relationship all of a sudden taking a turn for the worst? And it got to the point where I almost broke up with her. And I said, you know what? This isn't working out. This is all terrible. And she said, well, it's because you said that I wasn't your first priority. And I was just like, what? Wait a second. Hold on. You didn't tell me for 3 months that me saying you should focus on school and I should focus on school, and if things are right, it's going to happen. You didn't tell me that that's what upset you. For 3 months, that's like, she was so passive aggressive. She wouldn't tell me anything that I said that upset her. And my girlfriend now is nowhere near as bad, but sometimes she does the same thing where she'll bring up the same topic we've talked about over and over again. And I won't apologize for it because I've already apologized for it. Mm. And she just gets hurt and gets mad. but yeah, it's just the passive aggressive behavior is incredibly common, and it's just crazy.
What do you think, Sean?
I think that if that was going on with me on an ongoing basis, I would ask the question of your girlfriend, what have I done to give you the impression that you can't be direct with me about what's bothering you? Let's see where she goes with it. Maybe it's on her end, maybe it's on your end, maybe it's a little bit of both. Say that again.
I had those conversations with her. Like, for example, okay. We were going through an issue where she would tell me that I was a liar, and I kind of unpacked that, and I said, you know what, sweetie, you're making me into a liar. And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, you keep asking me questions that I don't know the answer to, and then in an effort to get you off my back and to get you to stop nagging me, I tell you an answer, even though I know it's going to be wrong, and then you get mad that I was wrong, even though I told you that I was going to be wrong. And when I unpacked that for her, she stopped doing it completely. She absolutely changed it. So,
really, that's good. That sounds like a really good sign. What do you think about that, Rich? That she?
Said, all right, I'll stop.
Okay. It sounds like a lot of shit testing. And yeah, I mean, you're going to get a lot of that often, and it's just to be expected. And it sounds like you're handling it pretty good because, you're holding the frame. I mean, like the whole priority thing, like just going back to that, where you're talking about, what you were working on was your priority and she was upset that she wasn't your priority. That's fine. You don't need to apologize for that. You don't need to explain that. I wouldn't even say that she's not your priority. I would just say, look, my priority right now is this. You don't have to, explicitly say she's not your priority, but it's going to be demonstrated by the choices you make, and the actions that you take throughout your day. But like your day and your choices and whatever it is that you're pursuing, it's constantly going to be challenged by the feminine imperative, right? I mean, she's always going to try to hijack your attention and try to redirect it on whatever it is that she's doing. And whatever it is that she's doing is nowhere near as purposeful as what it is that you're trying to do, whatever dent in the universe you're trying to make. Don't ever get derailed from that. It sounds like you got some awareness about it. So it's a good thing. I mean, I like the callers we're getting tonight because a lot of these guys are a hell of a lot more woke than some of the other callers we usually get, right?
Yeah. So let me ask you, caller, sorry, I didn't get your first name. You know this lady, we don't. Rich threw out the term shit testing, which means I take that to mean she's testing your resolve, testing the strength of the relationship. So knowing her as you do, what do you think she's trying to accomplish with this indirect communication?
So I think what that is, with this one at least, not the ex. The ex was absolutely crazy, and I'd love to tell you more about that. But with this one, she had a really bad relationship in the past that really put her on edge, and I think she's just trying to feel out if I'm the same way. But every single time that she does stuff like that, I call her on it. I tell her to cut it out. I'm not that guy. That was in the past, and now we're now. And she changes it, like she fixes it. And it's amazing. I've never met a girl like this who, when you say, hey, your behavior sucks, you need to fix it, they do it. And she's the only person I've met like this. So yeah.
Yeah, there's some good women out there. I mean, I like how you put it that way, where it's like, cut it out, right? We talk about that from time to time in my private community on the Facebook group, because it's like, somebody will get shit tested on a first date, and right away the guy will come at her and be like, look, cut it out. Are we going to have some fun tonight, or are we going to be playing this game, sort of thing? So it's good that you can put your foot down and redirect it to what matters. I like it. I mean, we got really nothing to help you out with tonight. This is more of an
I'll throw one thing out there, and I love that phrase, cut it out. It's a powerful phrase, and it says, I see through what you're doing. It's a great phrase. You said that she's essentially struggling with her past a little bit, just like the guy who called before. He's struggling a little bit with remembering that was then and this is now. So come at her with a little empathy. Yeah, you don't need to. That doesn't mean that you sacrifice your boundaries. That doesn't mean you tolerate it. Just recognize that she's struggling with something, and obviously she's trying to get past it.
Definitely. And hey, Rich, before I go, I just want to let you know I absolutely love your statement of focusing on excellence. I just want to tell you a real fast story. I got into college. I'm pursuing mechanical engineering. My first 2 years sucked. I had a 2.76 GPA at the end of my second year. I buckled down. I did a 3.6, 3.62, 4.0, 3.5, 4.0, 3.92. Pulled my cumulative GPA to a 3.43. And then on my way out of bachelor's, the department chair said, hey, do you want to be my grad student? It's fully funded. And I said, absolutely. So after this year, I'll have a master's with absolutely no debt. My dad and my uncle Chuck are helping me do investments. And I already have a bunch of friends who want to open a business for commercial drones for agricultural and military use with me. So I'm trying real hard, and I'm listening to what you got to say, and I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. I love it. I love hearing people say that, there's some impact in their lives from what I'm talking about. Cause when my big stupid head moves and my lips start flapping, not everybody listens. So I'm glad that you're doing something with it. So, awesome. Thanks for calling in, man.
I like that no debt part, man. That's starting out life without student loan, man. It's gonna be so far ahead of everybody else. It's pathetic.
Cut it out or knock it off. Either one of those will, send a clear message and redirect where you're going. Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Lines are open, guys. 323-642-1618. I'm going to get to these callers in a sec. Got a bunch of people watching right now, and only a few thumbs up, guys. Whatever you're watching on mobile device, pretty much everything except for a console, you can like the video. So if you're enjoying the broadcast, just give it a thumbs up, let people know this is awesome, and hopefully YouTube algorithms recognize it and let more folks know. Let's go to 904. So exchange 904, I'm going to put you on the air right now. All right, what's your question? Hello? In 3, 2, 1. All right, you're gone. All right, let's go to exchange 592. You're on the air. All right, you're up.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Is my audio okay?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys for taking my call. I'm actually really new to Blue Pill stuff. I started watching just a few weeks ago, but in the past year I was watching a lot of Jordan Peterson stuff, but this is definitely a interesting take. I like this one too. So my just kind of wanted to add a really good topic you guys have tonight with the passive aggressive women. I'm no stranger to that. So one of the things I wanted to say is I think it's also a sign of the level of maturity the person has. Definitely when I was younger, I had way more passive aggressive tendencies. And I think as you get older, you see, hey, that doesn't work so well. So you kind of learn to handle things a little bit more forward. So that was just my comment on that. And I also had a question about a potential like red flag. I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Okay, fire away.
Basically, what are your thoughts on, and caller before this kind of mentioned this very briefly, guys who are living at home with their mom. I don't see this too often now as I'm dating, but this is definitely maybe for like guys that were a little bit younger. When is it like something they're doing just to build up finances, you know, save money, versus maybe there's something psychologically going on there?
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 32.
And how old are these guys that you're dating that you're finding living at home with their parents?
So my ex, we started dating when we were 23. I was living at home at the time, and throughout our whatever you want to call it, he also, I think he's still living at home, and he was only a year younger than me. I also have a friend. He is living at home with his mom, and I know he brought this up when we were talking about, you know, dating and stuff. That how does he bring this up to a potential, you know, date, a girlfriend, that he's out, you know, lives with his mom, or his mom lives with him, whichever way you want to look at it. And I thought that was a really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking,
topic, you know.
I wouldn't advise men over a certain age. I don't know what the line in the sand is, 25, 30. I mean, 35 is kind of pushing it, to be living at home with their parents or their mom. You should be able to stand on your own 2 feet, have your own life kind of going, and be able to demonstrate competency to the world, and, you know, women, especially if that's what you're doing, you're dating. That being said, I know guys in their late 30s that live with their parents, and they do very well. They're what we would call slayers. So, you know, it really depends on what it is that they're capable of signaling, and how competent they are, and how great they are with women, and what skills they got when it comes to game and stuff like that. But I think that women will automatically dismiss, for the most part, most men that don't have their own place. I mean,
And I think
you do, don't
well,
you?
one of
Like,
the things,
what's your
like,
strategy when you come
younger,
across a
kind of
guy
see,
that lives with his parents? Like, what do you do when you hear, I'm 35 years old and I live with my mom?
right. So my question is kind of like, well, I want to know why. Is it something like, I know my friend, his mom, he feels like he needs to take care of her, like she doesn't have anybody else. Or, you know, maybe he's just trying to save money to move out or something like that. Like my ex kept saying like, oh, he wants to like basically buy a house in cash. So to him, his mom was just, living with her was just his way of saving money, a convenience thing, I would say. But, you know, on the other hand, I'm like, well, how do you make sure that they have the skills to, you know, like take care of themselves? Because all they've known is being with their mom, you know?
Yeah. What do you think, Sean? Like, what's your take?
Exactly. That's the issue is that resourcefulness and that capability. So, caller, let me lay a little metaphor on you. I don't know if you followed, but I had this baby duck that I rescued about 6 weeks ago, and we decided to release it this weekend. And the reason I chose to release it when I did, after reading up on ducks and so forth, is because this duck, if he stayed with us any longer, it wasn't going to learn how to fly. It wasn't going to learn how to forage for food. It wasn't going to learn how to do all the duck things that ducks need to do. And that's really the issue. Like, you stay home beyond a certain point and you're just clipping your own wings. I mean, don't you think, Rich?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I always discourage guys from living with their parents. I mean, culturally, it's very acceptable in certain cultures for you know, men to stay at home as long as possible, or until they get married, or in some cases they'll even move out and they'll move back in because they'll rent their place out and they'll try to save money to work from home, especially if they have like a home business or something like that. So, I mean, as long as I got their money sorted and there's a reason behind it. I mean, I'm not a woman and I'm not attracted to men, so I can't really, you know, describe it. But for me, I mean, if I were to turn the tables and I had met you and I found out that you've got 5 cats, like, that's a write-off for me right there and then, right? You know, probably the same way that many women write off men that live with their parents.
Yeah.
Right. Like, everybody's got their sorry?
I have 3 cats.
Yeah, you have 3 cats. You might want to get rid of some of those because that's a bit of a turn off, for men. But yes, like you do what you got to do, right? But the same way that men living with their parents is a turn off, it's the same thing with men, right? Like we always try to vet for problems like that. Like I've seen some crazy stuff when it comes to women and rescue animals, and it's like it is just a non-negotiable. The same way that women will write off or dismiss men that live with their parents. So, your question is really not like vetting any kind of red flag. It's like you're hardwired to look for competent, successful men. Like women don't care about men's struggle. They hang out at the finish line and they'll pick a winner. So if you're dating 3 or 4 guys, or you're swiping or whatever, or you're doing it all simultaneously, and there's one guy that lives with his parents that really doesn't have his act together, you're obviously going to pick plan A or plan B or whoever's got their act together, that's got their own money. It's just that's what's going to allow you to get the best possible results out of life. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that we're all hardwired, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's great advice. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks for calling in. All right. Wow, we got a lot of calls on, Sean. We don't get a lot of women calling in, eh?
No, I like it when the ladies call.
Yeah.
Different perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to speak from experience. I mean, I'm not a chick. I'm not going to date a dude that, or guys that live with their house. I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine how women would size that up, right? I mean, we know that women look at men as success objects, and option A has his own place, 3-car garage with all of his toys and his own house, sort of thing, versus option B, lives with the parents. Most women are going to pick option A, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
why? Because they know that duck can fly, but the other one, they don't know if he can fly. Maybe he can. Like if Elon Musk says, "I'm living at home for a minute because I sold my house so I can put everything into this new venture," we already know that Elon Musk is capable and resourceful. That he doesn't need to prove that. A little different situation than some guy who's 26 and he's never really ventured out into the world.
Yeah, like Elon Musk is like the F-22 Raptor of ducks, right? Like he's showing radar missiles attached to the duck wing. Everybody knows who he is.
Exactly.
He doesn't have anything to prove, right?
So, question: you and I both got daughters.
Yeah,
it's about the same age, and so let's say they're 10 years from now they're out dating and they come home with some guy who's 26 years old, still living at home. How would you talk to your daughter about that?
Oh man, you know what? I've tried having conversations with her about red flags that are out there, and things that I'm trying to like educate her on the difference between what. Like, let me use blue hair as an example, right? Like, I had to go pay property taxes, government office, walk in there with her, and there was this blue-haired feminist there with a sleeve tattoo, and I'm trying to like size up the whole, blue-haired feminist and see if she can pick up on the red flag. And all she's picking up on is, well, it's a pretty hair color, right? So I got to go down the list of everything that kind of leads up to that and why that's a problem, but she just doesn't get it right now. So I'm starting to hear people tell me like not to do stuff like that. I don't know. Like, what's your take? Like, how would you deal with that with your daughter?
Well, we talk a lot about why people do what they do and what it means. I mean, your dad's a shrink, so of course we're going to be talking about motives, and she loves that kind of conversation. So we get into it about that kind of stuff, and she pretty well gets it. But if she, 10 years from now, she comes home with some guy who's still living at home at 26, I don't really know how I'm going to talk to her. Well, I do. I'm going to talk to her about his competence, and I'm going to want to know, what's this guy really about? The fact that he lives at home doesn't mean he can't fly, but doesn't mean that he can.
Right. But I mean, like, what if she brings home some like tatted up, muscular, alpha as hell dude that lives with his parents, broke as a joke, and has credit card debt piled out the window? Like, how do you deal with that? Well, he doesn't seem that competent, sweetheart. And then she comes along and goes, well, he's hot as hell.
Right. Yeah, that's not my daughter, but that's somebody's daughter, and that would be a tough conversation. I think the way you deal with
either one of our kids, dude.
You're right. Yeah, I don't know what she's going to look like in 10 years. Although character's pretty well set by like age 4, and she's very conservative and risk averse. I wish she embraced risk more. But I think the way you handle those problems is right now when they're 10 and 12, or however old our kids are. We're having these conversations now. Probably going to save us a lot of talking down the road.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about something when we get off the air that's kind of tied into that. But let's go to the next caller, 265. So exchange 265. We're going to go on the air. All right, you're up.
Can you hear me?
You're loud and clear. You got a question?
Awesome. Not so much a question. but a pretty good, nice, hard story.
Okay, so we got an experience tonight. All right, so what's the experience?
So the experience is not with a woman that was, how do I explain it? Married to another guy, and I was the one on the outside.
Okay.
So get through the beginning. She was, sorry, I'm sick. So I got to clear it up every now and again. So what was going on there is we had met. I help people buy and sell houses to do real estate. She was a client. We had been working for a few months together. I'm prior military. Her husband's still, I don't know if he's still current military or not, but he was in at the time and he was deployed. So I'm helping these two find a house.
So you were the Jody.
Time goes on.
Hang on a sec. I just want to make sure I got the term right. So you were the Jody.
What's the Jody?
I don't know. I'm told by military people that the Jody is the guy that's banging your wife while you're deployed.
That's the guy.
Okay, so you're the Jody. So carry on.
Awesome. So the only time she could ever really see the houses was during the evenings because she worked out during the days. But as time goes on, you know, things happen. And so it got really crazy. The girl's absolutely freaking wild. You listen to the conversation, she'd be sitting there having with her husband. And like, you wouldn't believe they're talking like normal. I guess he sent her a letter, handwritten letter, nothing crazy, but she was all dolled up about it, saying she's going to hang it on the wall. The next thing you know, she's fucking having sex with some dude on her bed, me not having a care in the world. There's actually 2 or 3 times I can count off the top of my head while we were having sex, she would be calling him as a joke.
Okay.
Still bought the house because the house was still under contract during this time. Purchased this house while this was going on, and I took the one chance and tell you, like, you know, you're pretty damn stupid for wanting to buy this house, knowing that you're gonna get it. Like, this is never gonna work out, and it didn't. Still went through with the house, still bought it, still kept going at it. They end up getting divorced, walks away from it, and now I'm selling the house.
So you got the commission on the purchase, you got the commission on the sale.
Sure.
Okay. So what's the lesson here?
Lesson here, be careful. Out for those guys. I don't know. Of any woman I've ever dealt with, I've always been able to catch him cheating. When I could watch her and watch the conversations from her side on, even when he had an inkling that she was, it was always the wrong dude that he ended up thinking it was. But I don't know, the way she would talk to him, I don't even think at the time, because I just got red pilled. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I've been red pilled for that long. But even at then, I probably would have been played a fool at the same time.
Let me ask you this question so we can kind of take this in a slightly different direction. Why do you think she cheated on her deployed husband with you?
For me, looking at it, the way he acted definitely was very beta. Super clingy, always up for ass about everything. Then when it turned around and came to me, looking at it from this way now, because it wasn't red pill the very first when we first met, but it was interesting because as we got together, I ended up getting the red pill, and I could see obviously I was the guy that was in charge of her. She had to answer to at all times. Had no idea what was going on during the transaction unless I told her what was going on. So I was in charge. Long hours around this guy that dresses well, looks good, 6'3", 200 pounds, and not fat, and has 3 cars on his own, lives on his own, does whatever he wants.
Let me ask you a question. Did you game her or did she come at you?
Came at me.
She came at you. You're just going about your work, selling the house, you know, showing properties, driving around in your flashy ride, and she came at you.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Sean?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thanks for calling in, man. Interesting experience. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
All right. Peace out. All right. I'm going to throw Paul on now because he was the guy that I learned the term Jody from. So you want to unmute yourself and let us know what's up, brother?
All right. What's up, bro?
Thanks for joining in tonight.
Oh, boy. Jody. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. So just a little more, frame who, behind who Paul is. He's in my guys community, and he made this post one time when he was talking about a Jody, and I'm like, what the hell is this Jody? And here we, lo and behold, have a Jody call in, and Paul's sitting there waiting to hop on and share an experience or ask a question. So what's shaking tonight, man? What are you doing?
Oh, not much. Just tuning in. Finally, I'm plate free tonight, so I can finally tune in and get on your show here.
All right.
Yeah, the Jody stuff is pretty funny. That's just an opportunity. You know what I mean? She is just hypergamy at work and opportunity. Women are opportunistic. So when the guy is gone, she has an opportunity to branch to somebody else. She's going to do it. I was talking to a 70-year-old Vietnam vet. And I just for fun, I like to ask this question. I said, got a deployment coming up. What do you think about, your girl at home? He goes, you got a deployment? He goes, you got a deployment? You ain't got no girl. So, old black dude. He's really funny. He's absolutely right. This is from this, 1970 something Vietnam vet. So
yeah, apparently this is very common, right?
Oh yeah, it's very common. I mean, they don't all cheat, but very, very many do. And it's weird how they do it. Maybe Sean might have an opinion on this from a psychological perspective, but it's a vindictive cheat. It's the thing where they send a video to the guy who's deployed of them with another dude happens. I've seen it happen twice.
Vindictive, as in the sense of you decided to go off and fight for freedom in our country and leave me here, so I'm going to go and bang this guy.
Right, and film it and send you the video and then try to zero you out. It's a vindictive move. Like they're so angry at the guy. It comes from a real place of resentment and anger. It's more than just I'm going to try to branch and level up. I see this better guy. A lot of times it's not even a better guy. It's not even a more alpha guy. It falls in line of that. I'm cheating with somebody because I can't keep this alpha, so I'm angry. So I want to get to him. You know what I mean? It's a different motivation. Very interesting. But the guy that was the caller, the Jody's told whatever. I mean, he was a beta guy. He doesn't know that. I mean,
that's probably the story that he got from the woman. Anyway, I don't want to hover over that Jody call too long. You joined because you got an experience or a question for us?
Yeah, I did have a question for Sean. Meaning to ask a couple of shows. I just haven't been able to get on. So it's kind of an LTR vetting question, something I've run into and seen before too. And so what I've run into is a female, when she sees you, your SMV is high, and she sees you as basically her alpha that she really wants to keep or get. In the beginning of that dating scenario into the beginning of the LTR, she'll present herself as something she's not. She'll try to be things that she isn't. She'll suppress problems that she has, anxiety, different things. She'll basically be a different person. I ran into this in my last LTR. I'm pretty good with red-pilled stuff, I think, anyway. I'm good when it comes to the pickup and the game portion of women, even the relationship stuff. But I missed something with my last LTR. Some red flags that really didn't show up until a year and 3 months in. You know what I mean? Some really bad and toxic behaviors that went well past the honeymoon phase. And she had told me later that she was always very anxious around me, always afraid of losing me, and she was being someone she wasn't. That's what she had said. And she just couldn't take it anymore, and she resented me for that. So I guess how do you warning side that one when they're being someone different? I mean, absolutely lying about who they are, essentially.
Yeah, and I think you answered the question yourself. You said a year and 3 months went by before you noticed this. So 15 months, and that's actually toward the middle range, toward the beginning of when, as far as I know, neurochemically, your brain starts to come off of that honeymoon phase. So that's why I tell guys, minimum 2 years. That gives you a chance to get past that honeymoon phase, which means that your brain starts to come back to baseline, and you two are actually seeing each other or you're seeing each other as real human beings and not as idealized versions. And it gets harder and harder to put up that front the more time goes by. So you take the time, and there's not much you can do to speed up the clock, except there's one thing. If you're really serious about something, you want to know what they're made of, go on a trip around the world with them. Let the luggage get lost. Let them be fatigued and worn out and tired. And then you see who really shows up.
Well, that was the thing too. We ran into hardship, where which was good. It saved me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be with this person in a long-term thing because of how she is and some of her values that didn't show up, till we ran into some hardships. And so when I wasn't able to put up that 100% front, you know what I mean? I started to demonstrate some weaknesses because of just the hardships we were facing, where I needed this other person to be a partner and step up and actually, you know what I mean, be a compliment and not just rely on me for absolute 100% take care of everything strength. And so I'm glad it happened, to be honest, because I'm much better off not being with somebody. I mean, I could marry, I could get married by the state, but spiritually marry, be, 3-4 years down the line and have this happen. That'd be a real waste of my time.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why if those hardships don't come along on their own, you want to generate them by traveling or doing something like that. And this is the same thing I would tell my daughter, like, don't marry somebody until you know what they look like when they're under pressure.
That's pretty fair. 15-month honeymoon phase. That was a lot longer than what I had read before, what I thought. That's interesting. But I advised the 2-year thing. I read your book, so I believe in that 100%. And this is a great book.
And what I actually say in the book is you get past the honeymoon phase, and you're past the honeymoon phase when the other person starts to annoy you a little bit. And then you give it 4 seasons. You see how they dance in the summer and in the winter. And then you get a better sense of what they're really about.
Well, I guess I was past my honeymoon phase 3 months into that one, but
yeah.
That's good, man. It's important. It's a point. It's like I've talked to a lot of guys now, and the story that I get, and it's not this exact phrase or these keywords, but something along the lines of, I said I do, and then the representative left, and the person I was dating, the representative that I was dating for, it's always some short period of time, like 6-8 months or something like that. Then they go and get married, and then they're like, "Wow, I got married, and I said I do, and now the representative's gone, and I'm stuck with this real person I don't really recognize," sort of thing. So, you got to watch out for that representative, man. that representative can be a big problem if you wife them up.
Oh boy, I could show photos, like I'm not going to here obviously, but you could see a picture of who she was when we were together that first year, which is somebody you could introduce to like your friends and maybe your mother and not be embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like, she was a good looking, hot, presentable woman versus 2 weeks after the breakup, she changes her profile pic and she's sexually signaling, has her tongue ring hanging out, just looked like total trash. It's like, what the hell happened? Who is this person?
I've said, women have the capacity to act, right? They do have the capacity to act to try to, get a certain result. It's not that uncommon. So it's good. I mean, like Sean says, vet them for a couple of years, watch them through the seasons and put them through some stress and see how they handle it, and, kind of go from there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that advice. It's good, especially for guys who are striving for excellence and higher value. That's the danger we run into. A beta guy with maybe not going into that, she'll show her true colors early because he'll continue to pine for her. But for guys that are higher value, they'll put on that front as long as they can, to make sure they keep us on the hook. So I appreciate the advice, guys. Thanks.
All right, Paul. See you later, man. I'm going to take callers again here. I got a few on the line. Again, the lines are open, guys. 323-642-1618. I'm going to hit exchange 904. You're on the air. All right, you're up. Exchange 904, you're up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, hey, Rich. Hey, Sean. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, man. You got a question tonight?
I've been checking out your videos and things like that for a little while now. First time calling here. So, but my question is, and I understand the concept of today's call, but I do have a question that's not tailored towards the concept of today's call. So if you need to like refer me to a video or something like that, that would be fine too.
All right, fire off the question. What do you got for us?
But nevertheless, I'm in the middle or going through a divorce, and my wife and I have been trying to reconcile. We were married for about 2 years, and I wanted a prenup, and she totally avoided the prenup. I was the high income earner, and she was the lower income earner, and I wanted to get a prenup, and she pretty much shoved it and ignored it every time I brought it up. And finally, I went down to the court to get a separation. So not to be divorced, but to remain married, but be separated. So all of our assets and things were separated because we've had several issues in our marriage and things like that. But nevertheless, we've been separated since October and talking about reconciling and things like that. And she's picked up a career where she's doing pretty well income-wise and things like that. I know you mentioned that you want to marry someone where the income is about the same and things like that. I don't know how much her income is compared to mine. It could be about the same. That I don't know. But I still want a separation. And she does not want a separation at all.
Okay, let me just put the question to you this way.
Married to the state.
Hold on a sec. Let me just put the question to you this way, just so we can kind of distill it. I've got a magic wand, and I can wave it right now to solve your problem. What does that look like for you? Like, what are you stuck on right now?
How to get through somewhat feeling depressed so I can move on with my career. So I'm happy again.
Why are you unhappy?
Yeah, because I would like to keep we have a son together as well. I would like to keep our relationship together, but I don't want to be forced into doing something, combining assets until that's something that I'm ready to do.
Well, I mean, you've already got your assets combined if you've been married, right? Like, how long have you guys been married for?
It was 2 years.
And where do you live?
SoCal, Long Beach, California.
Okay. Well, doesn't the state consider that, matrimonial, and there's a division of matrimonial assets 50-50?
Yes.
So prenup has nothing to do with that then.
You can get married and keep everything separated.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, like, here's the thing. I mean, like, you got to look at it from her perspective. Right now, you guys are still legally married, even though you're separated, but she's got rights to 50% of your shit. And you're basically saying, well, I'd like to get back together with her, but I want her to sign a piece of paper to say that she has no rights to half of my shit. Like, are you following the logic here?
It's because I brought it up to her when we first were married, and she just pushed it to the side, and I just went down to the court myself to file a separation, but we got into an argument and ended up in like real divorce court.
Yeah. Do you guys live in separate households right now? Are you still in the same matrimonial home, or where do you guys sit?
Separate households, but 2 or 3 blocks apart, but separate households.
And how old's your son?
2.
And what does she want to do? Does she want to reconcile and live together, or does she want to move on?
She wants to reconcile and live together and keep our family.
And you were the one that initiated the divorce.
Say that again.
And you were the one that initiated the divorce proceeding by separating.
Yes, technically.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was the reason behind that?
To separate our. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And what was the reason for you initiating the divorce?
To separate our assets.
You filed for divorce because you wanted to split up your assets.
Yes.
Even though you're already married and she's got matrimonial rights to half your shit.
Well, you can.
Did you talk to a lawyer before you did this?
You can be divorced. I'm sorry?
Did you talk to a lawyer before you did this? A family lawyer?
Not before. No.
You did it after.
No.
So what did he say after?
during the process, he did say, yeah, you can be married, separated, and everything would just be separated. So if your guys' relationships didn't work, you just, that would be it. You take your stuff and she take her stuff.
Right. But I mean, right now she's got rights to half your stuff.
Currently today, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not really sure where to go with this, but Sean, I'm going to hand off this train wreck to you.
What sounds like there are legal questions here, and I'm not a legal guy. What's the dilemma that you're struggling with?
It's not that it's a legal question. I don't want to go back into this relationship being married to the state of California. I would rather work and do our union on our own outside of being married to the state. And that's our ultimatum. It's either we're married with the state or nothing. And I've already told her that I don't want to be married to the state. I just want someone to, not to, just love me for me, man.
All right. So where does the kiddo fit into this?
I mean, I'm not necessarily, nothing really. I mean, I'm going to see him on a regular basis, remain in his life, all those fun things. I mean, we're joint everything currently. I pay, my support and all that fun stuff. So, I saw somewhere most kids aren't, well, that's kind of irregular, but yeah. It's not,
all right, so hang on. So she wants to be married to you, and it sounds like you want to be married to her, but not. You guys are hung up on the piece of paper, I guess. Is that what it is? And meanwhile, you both brought a kid into the world. There's something I'm missing here. What am I missing?
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just jump back in here. Okay, so what is the difference in your net worth? Right? Because one of the things that you got to do when you get separated here is you got to fill a 13-1, and the 13-1 discloses to either party what your assets and your liabilities are. So you got to have some idea what your net worth is versus hers.
So I gross like 260, 280, and she was like at 14, like $2,400 a month.
Okay.
I was netting like 10,000.
Okay, so did you bring like $1 million to the table and she brought like a skateboard? Like, what are we talking about here?
Not million, not yet, hopefully, but let's say quarter
okay.
million.
And she brought nothing to the table? You brought $250,000, she brought nothing?
No, and I, paid the debt off, paid her student loans off, 40,000.
Yeah.
Assisted her paying the car off, and everything. I've been watching for a little while. So
got it. And you live in California, right?
Yeah.
Does your estranged, separated wife identify as a feminist?
Oh my gosh, that's what happened. I was reading.
Okay, we should move on to the next call because I can't help you, man. I'm really trying not to laugh at you, but dude, like this entire thing was planned out completely backwards, right? I mean, where you're at right now, you're like, here's the facts, okay, guys. So the facts are you're living in two separate households with a feminist. She already has matrimonial rights to half your shit. You're basically saying, I'd like to reconcile, but I don't want you to have half my shit. So if you could kindly sign this piece of paper, because I want you to love me for who I am, not for the stuff that I have. And then maybe we can rekindle our marriage again. I don't really see that happening based on female nature and the kind of situation you've built for yourself right now. I mean, like, what does she say when you bring that up to her?
That now that she's found her career, real estate, she can take care of herself and she doesn't need.
She doesn't need a man, right?
So, right. That's right.
And that's the lesson that toxic feminism teaches women. She doesn't need a man except for the fact that you're still paying child support to her, and you're probably still going to pay other money to her for a certain period of time, depending on how long you guys live together, and half your shit's going to go to her anyway. But she still doesn't need a man, right? So that's the narrative that you're going to hear. And what are you going to do about that right now?
Nothing.
Because you're up shit's creek without a paddle, man. I always say guys love to complicate their lives and then try to justify why they do it. And here we are talking about a scenario. And I'm not trying to beat you up, man. It's just that I'm pointing to the facts, and I'm holding up a mirror just so I can let you see what they are, right? I mean, like, you're a grown-ass adult, so you know exactly what you've done here. But I mean,
Right.
if you bring $250,000 to the table and she brings a skateboard, to the table before you guys get married, you need to understand that you're entering into an agreement that lets the state decide what happens to your assets, liabilities, and access to your kids. And you don't have much in any kind of say in that. And to further complicate that scenario, you don't have a piece of paper governing how that relationship is going to untie the knot. You've done it with a woman that's a feminist. You're kind of like you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle right here, right now. So you don't like this is an after the train wreck scenario. Like we need to call in the cleanup crew, the ambulance. We need a couple of cranes to pick the trains back up and put them on the track. This is kind of like a rebuild a life sort of scenario, right? I mean, what can we do to solve this problem? Not much right now. We need a time machine to send you back before you guys said I do.
So trying to get back into that marriage or relationship, I need to keep going my direction, man.
I think you need to do what's right for you and what's right for your son. Right. And what's good for children is to have both parents in their lives. But if you guys can't reconcile and this is over money and shit, I mean, I'd be asking myself a question like, does that really matter that much? Because she's already got rights to half your shit right now anyway. Like, do you guys get along good? Do you guys have a good marriage?
No, it was a lot of fighting.
Mm-hmm. This is a very long conversation.
Yeah, a lot of fighting.
Yeah, this is a very long conversation. Sean, do you want to wrap it up with some final thoughts?
You got to where
about this.
You got to where I was going, which is you got to think about your kid in this. I'm hearing the kid almost as secondary, and there's data out there that says that a congenial divorce is better than a marriage where both parents are living in the same house and fighting all the time. So there's that to consider, but. And the kid's got to come first in this. And if you already signed on the dotted line and now you're worried about the stuff, I don't know. I'm kind of like Rich. I don't really know what to tell you about that.
Like women are opportunistic. She's not going to care about you or what's good for you, right? I mean, she's got legal rights to half your stuff. So you got to look at it from her perspective too. There's not much that we can do with this one, brother.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in.
Take care.
All right, that is a train wreck. That is what happens if you don't call into the show before you make choices that your spidey senses are picking up on. A little voice, a little whispering voice. Hey, man, you sure you want to do this? You sure you want to marry this feminist? You sure you want to do this without a prenup because she doesn't want to sign a prenup, but you really want a prenup because you bring stuff to the table she doesn't? That's a shout later on down the road. And she has the full force of family law behind her. There's nothing you can do, right? I mean, like you got to, like, guys, don't complicate your lives. Simplify them. Simplify your lives. Don't complicate them. Let's go to the next caller. We got exchange 960 on here. All right, 960, you're up. You're on the air.
Me?
That's you.
Oh, sweet, man. First thing, I want to get serious, man. Someone very close to me was dealing with some relationship shit.
Okay.
And I couldn't translate what you say to him through my mouth. So I told him to go watch your videos, man. And he did a 180. Like he was like cutting himself, like drinking. And now he's like 20 pounds lighter. He's like a totally different person. So I want to thank you for that first. Thank you for that.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate hearing those stories. Those are the ones that keep me doing what I do.
All right, sweet. From now on, this is kind of it might be an age thing. So I'm 24.
Okay.
And I was going out with this girl. We're broken up now, but I was going out with her. I broke off about a month ago, and this is something you never had to deal with as a kid, but she was always on her damn phone, man. Like, so she complains, and she's like, oh, we don't spend enough time. So I'm like, okay, let's take a weekend. Let's spend some time together. Like 4 hours in, she's on her fucking phone. So I'm like, okay, you just made me take a weekend off. And now I'm like, okay, whatever. So I broke it off. And now she's like, every now and then, like, hey, I'm sorry. I know I didn't mean to offend you by it. Oh, and she's also like compulsive Instagram poster, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But she's, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I do like you. I don't want you to feel like you're being ignored. And so part of me is like, yeah, okay, nice try. But then there's like that 20%, like 15-year-old me who's like, oh, maybe she really has changed. So what do you think about that?
How old is she?
23? Yeah.
Yeah. So when there's a conflict between her actions and her words, you always believe the actions, right? I love you, but I post 17 pictures a day on Instagram in my bikini with my tatas out.
Man. It's just, it's hard to shake, man. It really is.
What is hard?
I think it's my age.
No, but what's hard to shake? What, her?
I guess like the curtain over the eyes, like, you know, maybe she really will change, because I believe people can change, you know. I don't know.
Well, people only change when they want to change, when they recognize there's a problem. I mean, it's how alcoholics recognize they have a problem because they're drinking too much alcohol, and then they stop drinking because they recognize the problem exists, and then they continue to work on that for basically the rest of their life. I mean, I've got friends that haven't had a drink in like 30 years, but they still call themselves alcoholics, and they know the date that they stopped drinking, right? So, I mean, you know, the pursuit of excellence applies to everybody. And if women are choosing to be better versions of themselves than what they were yesterday, that requires them doing the work and demonstrating to you that they are doing the work, because words don't mean shit. Words are easy to manufacture. Actions are not.
I get that. So I guess what I'm asking is, do I dare, let's quote some John Wick, do I dare dip my toe back in the pond, so to speak? Do I give a second chance, or do I just stay out of it completely?
Well, what's changed? What's going to change for round 2?
Yes, that's the question.
Like, should I see if anything changes?
Well, you would know. I mean, you know, just go to her Instagram right now. Does she still post 17 times a day?
Oh, that's true.
Come on, man. You're smarter than that.
Knowledge. Like,
don't call me asking questions like that. Then, oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, she still is posting 17 times a day.
well, no, like I don't do any of that. That's the thing. Like,
no, but you know what she's up to, though, right?
Check.
You know what she's up to, though. So you're going to do your next weekend in the Poconos or cottage country or lake country, and she's going to be on her phone for 4 hours straight, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the question tonight, my friend?
So that's a no.
What's the no, dude? You have to make your own choices. What is the question tonight?
It was, do I rekindle and give a second chance?
Okay, and the answer to that is, what has changed?
Probably nothing.
Yeah, well,
probably nothing, or definitely nothing.
Well, hey, I'll check. How about that? I'll call you back.
There you go.
There you go. That's the one.
Check her social media, and I know you've done this. Check her social media again today, probably for the 3rd time, and find out and remind yourself. Remember this line: we are masters of complicating our lives and then justifying why we do it. And if you're trying to justify taking her back because she looks great in that post today in her bikini with her tatas out, then hey, you have your answer, right? You're just trying to justify your own, you know, silly choices and your own silly behavior. You know better. It's just you're just ignoring that little voice, your spidey senses, right? I don't know if you heard the caller, the guy, you know, married to the woman in California he separated from.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah, well, that's what can happen if you don't, you know, curb that behavior, right? Like learn how to put that in check right now at 24, so that when you're 30 or 34, and maybe you're like, okay, maybe I think I'm going to have some kids now, and you're trying to vet a wife, you go about it the right way, and you can control the frame of the relationship, and you can vet for the right woman, and you take your time going through for a couple of years, and you don't keep going back to the same train wreck over and over again, right? Because untying a knot like that is a brutal nightmare. It's a hell of a lot more of a problem than she's on her phone for 4 hours when I try to take her away for the weekend. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
All right, brother. Gonna let you go. Thanks for calling in. All right. I need to take
I know what you're saying. You're saying that Instagram leads to that kind of train wreck that we have in California.
I don't know that it leads to that train wreck, but I'm just using that as an example of like, dude, your intuition, man.
Yeah. Listen to listen to your intuition. I'm all for second chances, but you hit the nail on the head. Like, you look for the behavior change, and change is tough. People relapse. Like, that's the other part of someone getting clean and sober, for example, they relapse. But what needs to come out of that relapse is new knowledge. Like, relapse is not the end of the world. Relapse is just part of the process. So you learn something from it, you add it to what you had before, and then you keep going forward.
So for those of you out there, since we're talking about Instagram, there's a feature on Instagram which will remind you after a certain period of time when it's time to get off the stupid app. And you set it for yourself. Let me see if I can find it real quick, but it's in the menu settings. You know what? I'm going to have to dig through a whole bunch of menus here, but I know that it's in the options or menu or edit profile settings. And I got mine set to 15 minutes. So what do I post on there? Just, hey, story before the train wreck's coming up tonight. Here's the countdown. Hit set reminder. We'll see you guys live at 8 o'clock. I do post some random, stuff in the feed as well, but I try not to spend much time on it because social media is like the spiraling vortex of crap. It just sucks you into BS all the time. I think that women use social media for different reasons than men. They're looking for validation and, the likes and the comments. And do people still love me? I only got 83 likes in that picture that I posted today, but the one that I did yesterday in that sexy pose, I got 183. What did I do wrong, sort of thing? Let me try to redo it this way. So there's different usages in it, but there's that limiter on it. And if you set the limiter for yourself, it'll kick you off. I mean, it'll tell you, hey, it's time to get off. It'll actually tell you how long you've been on the app.
I wonder if that guy's ex-girlfriend knows where that limiter is. I'm going to guess probably not.
She has no idea what that limiter is, but before you get to that limiter, it tells you how much time you spend on the app on a daily basis, and you'll be shocked at how much time people spend on that app. It is a vacuum, man. It'll suck you in until kingdom come. It'll just keep going. It's like a black hole of like brutal gravity that you can't get out of if you're not smart about it. So, I mean,
I like spiral vortex of crap. That's
spiral.
That should be the next Twitter.
Crap, basically, is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, we got a bunch of callers on. Let's keep going. Before I go to the next call, I just want to shout out real quick to the Grondike Soap Company. Tactical Soap is the channel sponsor and title sponsor for Before the Train Wreck. If you guys listen to this on the podcast as well, there's an intro to it. So check out with coupon code Cooper. You'll get 10% off. There's a link in the description in the top comment. It is pheromone infused, handmade natural soap in the United States. The pheromones will give you a little bit of an advantage on the sexual marketplace. They won't solve your problems. You're going to need game and to chase excellence. But there you have it. I want to thank Scott for sponsoring this stuff. Let's go to the next caller. By the way, guys, when I say exchange, area code is the number in the brackets. The reason why I'm not reading out the area code is because it's going to identify what city you're in, basically. So the exchange is the 3 digits after that. So if I say exchange 790, those are the 3 digits after your area code. So 790, you're coming up on the air. You're on.
3 digits after that. So
please mute your YouTube in the background.
Those are the 3 digits after your area code. So
that's me.
There you go.
Oh, hey.
You have a question?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for like all your help. I like respect you and Rollo a lot.
Thanks, man.
So basically, like on Passive Aggressive Story, I'm in a touring band right now, and we've been playing 3 shows. Like one was a year ago, and one was now with like super attractive girls, a band opening for us. And so one of the girls was kind of just like hanging out with us as a friend. And then she accused me of kissing her without her permission like a year ago, which I don't remember happening because I see myself, as, having some kind of a boundaries, whatever. So she basically made me apologize, like a freaking chump. Like via text messages, for something that I didn't do for the sake of it not being weird when we're going to play together next time. And
sorry, man. I'm just a little bit confused. Yeah. I just want to clarify something. So this girl that you kissed a year ago is in your band?
No, she's not in my band, and I didn't kiss her. I don't even remember, because a year ago I was like a new guy, and I was kind of like a deer in the headlights. Like my third show, I had to play in front of like 2,500 people, and I was like brand new guy, like in a band, and basically kind of like I have a good memory, and she basically like for some reason, maybe it's some kind of like a politics, whatever,
feminist, thing that she tried to pull off. So basically, she made me apologize, for something that I didn't do. And
so why did you apologize if you didn't do anything then?
Well, because she kind of went on. She basically went on, kind of almost hinting that I'm kind of like a narcissistic predator. She was like, "Oh, you had that stare, like you own me," and I was like, "Oh fuck," you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, I have to admit that the knowledge of Rosa Mathis' book and the whole thing, she kind of boosted my, let's say, confidence and all that stuff, that I ended up, kind of fucking shit up in my own way and having, oops, I'm an asshole moment. But that was not one of them, because I don't even recall that happening.
What is your relationship with this girl?
Basically,
sorry, just to get some clarity, what is your relationship with her?
Basically, just a friend. I mean, I was attracted to her initially, but now it's just basically my question is if I did the right thing, in terms of the world views and safety, so to speak, or apologizing and being just not to come off, so she wouldn't kind of talk behind my back that I'm some kind of a narcissistic predator or something like that. You know what I mean? It's
this starts to smell a lot like a potential Me Too problem. Like a false allegation. If nothing happened, or she's blowing it out of proportion, like something happened, or she's saying things like, "You're looking at me like you own me," but you don't even have any kind of relationship with this girl. You've never kissed her, you've never slept with her, you've never dated her, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
What's your take, Sean?
I was extremely nice to her because, when I saw her last time, she was having fun and was just having a nice conversation. I specifically was just that, because sometimes you're getting tired of those, kind of let's say followers, fans that stroking your ego, and that's not something that I was looking for, at that time. And I was just kind of super nice and supportive, and it was all super, let's say, consensual, which is, and so basically, well, yeah, it's it kind of set me off. I mean, besides of course, I am on the third roll of the book right now, and I'm just kind of reading that on a plane, and
go and jump in there.
Let me weigh in on this. This is almost a legal question. In this environment, if somebody came at me with an accusation that I had assaulted her, and that's what she's talking about, right? She's talking about an assault. If you kissed her against her will, that's an assault. If someone came at me with that kind of accusation, I think the first thing I would do is call an attorney and find out, all right, what do I say in this situation? Because I didn't do anything, and she's making a false accusation here. But we're in this environment where it's just not worth messing around with.
Well, absolutely. It's right now we're on good terms. I even went as far. Yeah, I even went as far as being waking up, being well, just next time I'm in the area, I own you I'm sorry lunch or something like that. It's basically just for a sake.
Well, the first thing you can do is stop apologizing.
Yeah. This is Rich actually wanted to bring this up a couple weeks ago, because we had a caller 2 weeks ago that was talking about an apology that he made, and that's really been bugging me ever since. It's a call that you probably don't remember. It's just struck a chord with me. But when do you apologize? You apologize when you've done something that you need to apologize for. I'm not big on appeasement, because this is bullying behavior. If you can get somebody to apologize for something that they didn't do, well, all right, now you got over on them a little bit, and now you can take it to the next level. This whole thing makes me really nervous, man.
Absolutely. That's why I basically called that. It just kind of made me feel, because we are the followers of, certain new beliefs, and I consider myself as kind of relatively recently unplugged, and I made my mistakes, which are unavoidable with affair with separated but not divorced woman.
Okay.
That's
hold up. I'm gonna post in the chat a blog called The 16 Commandments, and there's one about apologizing in those 16 commandments. I just want you to take a look at that. So thanks for calling in. I think we're gonna move to the next caller, man. Thanks.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Okay, exchange 381. Let's see if we can get to a few more calls before the end of the hour. 381, you're coming on the air. All right, you're up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello? All right, sorry, yeah. So anyway, I'm a young guy around, like, turning 20 actually this Friday. And with my last relationship, it was like a year and a half ago. Like, it was weird in my aspect because it was one of the few relationships I had. And with it, like, we only dated for 3 months, and she see, like, after like a month, like 2 months, she started becoming really clingy and like sort of tried forcing her will upon me.
Mm-hmm.
And like
what does that mean? Tried forcing her will upon you?
Like, she tried getting her to move. Like, I was living in college dorms at the time. She tried to like making me let her live in my dorms for like 3-4 days out of the week.
Okay.
And it just seemed like super weird. It's super weird to me at the time, even because I was still sort of blue pilled at the time. Like, I didn't let her do it, at least.
Okay, good. So
like,
continue.
Then, yeah, it's just hard to gather my thoughts. I'm not used to this kind of stuff.
No, you're doing fine now.
Yeah, it's yeah, she sort of tried to force that on me. Then like it came. I'm sorry. It's I can't really gather my thoughts right now.
So
can I actually hang up?
So let's do it this way. If you want to, have me guide you. So I've got a magic wand. I'm going to wave it. It's going to solve your problem. What's your problem right now, and what would that look like?
It's more of like I'm having a hard. I want to get back into dating again, but like it's just I'm not sure if I'm ready to start dating again.
You're not ready.
Like,
You're not.
I've been enjoying just trying to try to go my own way, for a while now.
Yeah. So how old are you?
I'm 19, turning 20 this Friday.
Yeah, dude, forget about relationships. Like, this should not even be on your radar screen right now, right? You should be figuring out what it is that you're going to build the foundation of your life on right now. And women are just a complete distraction. I mean, you're calling in, you're not able to put your thoughts together and, describe what it is that you're stuck on that's confusing you, that you'd like some clarity on. Forget about women. You need to find out what it is that you're going to build your life on. You're building the foundation of your home right now that you're going to live in. Figure out what that's going to look like. Forget about women.
Yeah, go back to last week's episode after this one is over and watch what we talked about last week.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, man.
All right.
Okay. See ya. Peace.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's try to do one more. We got like 4 minutes left. Exchange 714. You're coming on the air. You got 4 minutes. You're up. Exchange 714. You're up. Yep.
Hey, so my question is about making money, man. I got real lucky in my situation with divorce and everything. My ex was actually perfect for about 10 years. And just before I got to the point of kind of moving ahead in my career, she kind of flip-flopped on me and kind of went totally crazy after 3 kids. But I'm kind of apprehensive about making money afterwards because, like, I pay child support and everything, but I don't want to be funding her vacation. Like, what I pay now is appropriate for, the kids' welfare, but I don't want to be overpaying,
So you worried that if you make more money, you're going to have to pay more money? Is that the question?
Right.
That's the reality of the scenario that you're in. You're tax cattle. That's what happens. The state is going to move money from you to her. So the more money you make, the more money will go to her and the kids.
And the more money you make. The more money you have left over, I guess, after the man gets his share and the woman gets her share.
Yeah, that's just the way the system works. I mean, like you're asking, you're asking the question, like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, should I do the work to make more money? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of sort of. I mean, coming from your perspective, like you're in a similar situation, right? I mean, you've got a kid and you're making money. So how do you feel better about it?
Well, my ex-wife makes the same amount of money that I do, right? So I don't have to worry about that. But I made that choice on the entry. I mean, that's one of the good choices that I made in the person that I picked. But I mean, if you're in a scenario that, she's a much lower income earner, then the state will move money from you to her, for the kids. And you're just going to have to accept that not a lot of it's going to end up, useful to the kids. She might show up with new handbags and shoes that, come from you. And that's just the reality of the whole scenario. That's just the way the state works. I got a friend of mine that once said that, if you're going to get divorced, you want to have a slush fund of at least about $1,000 a month, because you're going to be throwing it at her for shit that really doesn't end up benefiting your child, but it benefits her. You just have to accept that, man. It's just part of the reality.
Okay. And real quick on another one little question about.
You got 1 minute.
I'm back into the dating world.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that?
You got 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm back into the dating world, and I'm with a potential LTR. She's kind of sort of conservative more than I would like. So she's probably like 8 out of 10, like sexually and stuff like that. What would you guys do about that situation? Would you like go ahead and into commitment on that, or just keep it in place?
I think you're asking the wrong questions, man. I mean, your first question is, should I be making more money? Then your next question following up is, should I be with this chick that's potential LTR material? How old are you?
40.
You're 40. And how old is this potential LTR that you're talking to?
41.
41. And she have kids?
No.
Yeah. Well, chase excellence, lift heavy shit, make bank. That's the end of today's broadcast, man. Thanks for calling. We didn't have a whole lot of time for you. Sorry about that. See ya. All right, guys. I got to drop the other callers because we got to wrap up the show. We always keep these tight 90 minutes, and I got a coaching client I got to hop on in about 15 minutes with. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in, watched tonight's show. If you're listening to this on a podcast, appreciate that. Make sure you comment or rate the podcast. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can find this now on Google Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all the major ones. So, if you're not into watching live, that's cool, or calling in live, just listen to it afterwards. You get it all that way. We'll be skipping next Monday. I'm on a long road trip doing this rally through the States. It's about 6 different cities. So if you're following me on Instagram, I'll post pictures there of the rally. Okay. So that's what Instagram is good for, but we'll be skipping next Monday. We'll be back on the 15th. You around on the 15th, Sean?
I'm around. Yep. You bet.
All right. We're going to reconnect on the 15th, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.